Hello, I'm Angelo for another episode of Showcasing Southbridge Businesses. I'm here today in a great little business in town. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's kind of like a new discovery to me. I'm here with the owner, Jay. Nice to see you,
Yes,
Jay.
pleasure.
With the Metro Bistro, and he has a beautiful little restaurant right here in Southbridge. Let's start off with, Jay, tell me a little bit about this restaurant. I think it is a hidden gem. I know a lot of people do know about it, but a lot of people that don't. So tell me a little bit about this restaurant.
Well, again, it was something that we began about 5 years ago, and surprisingly, we took off. Everyone said to us, "Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to do that." It was the right size. My wife and I run it. My wife is French. I'm from Southbridge. I was born here, although I grew up and lived up in the hills on my great-grandfather's farm in Woodstock, just over the border, the top of Lebanon Hill. And we use a lot of local products, things from Moore's Farm. We use the local markets, Big Bunny, Big Y. We also get special things that we're able to bring in from the area. And as a result, we've done very well.
Let's start off with one easy thing for people, the location. I know we're on Main Street. What's the number of Main Street? And give people an idea of where this is.
It's 176 Main Street, and it's in the old mansion of the Wells family, which were the founders of American Optical.
Yep.
And so it's kind of unique. It used to be Southbridge Photo, and I didn't change too much except for the decor. We have original art in the bistro, which is kind of different, and it features Francophone artists that come from French-speaking countries, including Quebec, and including artists from Southbridge that are of French-Canadian descent.
You know, I know it's a French restaurant, it's a bistro. Tell me a little bit about your menu, because that's what people are going to be really interested. What kind of food would they be able to get here, and what's your specialty of the house?
Well, one of the things that I have to tell people is we're not a haute cuisine French restaurant. It's French regional cuisine, and that's very important because many people correctly have been turned off by going to French restaurants, usually in cities that are expensive, and the food is small portions. Now, we give the right size portions, not huge portions, but the correct size, and it's priced accordingly. Our best selling item right now is a free-range beef fillet that we do with a cassis sauce. And there's a technique that the French do it that actually makes it taste different from other fillets that people have had. So we do a great business with that. Also, fresh seafood. We're in New England after all.
Right.
And in France, they eat an awful lot of seafood. The other thing that people love is we don't serve leafy salads. This is Southern French food, so as a result, we serve what are known as crudités, which are salads that are unique to the south of France that don't wilt with the heat. And we use Moore's Farms, locally grown vegetables in the area, and so we resource that. And again, many of the markets also carry locally sourced foods, and a lot of people are really catching on to that.
No, I actually stopped in. We were talking one day, and I actually had lunch. It was really, really nice. I had quiche, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Tell me about your hours. And, you know, people come here for it's lunch and dinner, right?
Yes.
And when you open every day during the week, why do people come here to
we're
enjoy
open
dinner?
right now, because of the different staffing things. We're open from Wednesday through Friday for lunch. We seat from 11:30 until 2:30. That means if you show up at 2:30, we will seat you. Never a problem with late parties, ever. Then for dinner, we're open Wednesday through Saturday. Again, we seat from 5:30 to 9 o'clock. We don't close the doors at 9 o'clock. We will seat you at 9 o'clock, and you stay, you take your time. A little unique here, too, is that we don't flip the tables. In other words, your table is your table.
Right.
So you come here, you can stay all day, literally.
You know, it seems to me that this is a nice kind of romantic restaurant. If a young couple or a couple wants to come here, enjoy some quiet time, and the restaurant's adorable. But if you want to bring a date, this seems a perfect place to bring a date, and just nice, relaxing, nice glass of wine. Well, I know wine is a specialty here.
The other thing too, but we also like families and children.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. Because one of our best-selling things that we serve that no one else does are snails.
Yep.
Children love snails.
Do they really?
Yeah, and they're used to eating them uncooked, and so when they get them cooked, they just love them. I mean, the children love the food, and again, it's different. Usually, the adults, which have a bit of a shock, they're accustomed to something else, whereas children are much more open, and we love to serve children. We have no problem with that. And again, people ask, do you have a children's menu? And I said, the whole menu is a children's menu. What do you mean? It really is, and we've been very successful with that.
Well, for those of us that don't eat a lot of French restaurants, it's kind of hard. We don't really understand. What I found when I ate here, it was very light. you didn't leave here feeling like heavy. It was really a nice light plate, and it felt really good. Tasted great. It was the right proportion, but it wasn't heavy foods. It
Well,
seemed
contrary,
to be
contrary to Julia Child, who said, if you don't like butter, have creme fraiche. If you don't like creme fraiche, have butter. This food is Southern French based on olive oil. It's also French regional cuisine, so that's a big difference. Regional cuisine in terms of France is not the haute cuisine, it's what people eat on an everyday basis in France. And that's a big difference. And that's where it's lighter. It's Mediterranean based, as I say, we do a lot of fish. We also have other traditional dishes like ragouts and daubes made from lamb, veal. And again, when I can get them in season from my farm, venison, we've been serving that. We have people come from all over just for those unique dishes.
That's one of the things I know. People come from all over the area, right?
Right. Goat. We also serve locally raised goat from Charlton and from Woodstock, Connecticut.
Wow, that's nice.
And people love that. We do it all different kinds of ways. Tonight we'll be featuring, for example, goat chops.
No, it's exciting to hear, a Southbridge business bringing people from all around the area. Because that's what we want. We want people from all over the area to come to Southbridge, enjoy the fine cuisine we have here. And it's nice. Again, I'm at the Bistro, the Metro Bistro on Main Street. And I want to encourage you to come down and give this restaurant a chance. You'll really enjoy it.
Ron, can I just
great.
interject
Sure.
one thing here, talking about bringing people? We get people from some of the most unusual places who find us online. And you can be anywhere today if you have a good website, which we do, which I built, and we're online. The most exotic was a gentleman who's 93 with his wife who flew in from South Africa to Boston. And he had a rendezvous with his family and friends for his 93rd birthday here. And he found it in South Africa on the internet.
Wow, what is it? So tell us your internet site. Where do you go to if you're a citizen? Where do we go?
www Metro Bistro. Bistro with a T. That's the correct way of spelling it, with a T. Most people think it doesn't have a T, but that's the Anglo-American version of it. But we put the T on, and I can't tell you the number of people who have called me up and said, you spelt the name of your restaurant incorrectly. I said, oh, really? Well, talk to my wife, who's not here right now, but she will be later on, who's 6 foot tall, French woman. Tell her that she doesn't know how to speak French.
Hey, you told me something as I came in here about how you were rated. Talk a little bit about how you were rated and the importance of that.
One of the things that happened is, in the past, when we had opened, we weren't open that much in the summertime because we figured that this is the traditional closure time, so we would take a couple of weeks off. And one time we actually took a month where we were actually traveling around France. What happened is this year we decided, no, we're going to stay open, and well, we won't be that busy. Well, all of a sudden, all through the summer, we had people like this gentleman coming from South Africa, had another man from Boston who flew in again, his family from around North America, and they came here to eat. He had never been here, but had read the website, knew it almost by heart. Come to find out, I was at another local person's house, and they said, "Don't you know?" I said, "What?" "Oh, you've been rated number 3 as French restaurants in the Northeast."
Wow.
Online, again. That's what explains why we were so busy. We couldn't figure out why we were quite that busy. We have our regular customers, and of course, summertime people go on vacation, things like that. So we had this dumb notion that we were going to be slow, but we've been doing very well. And again, I just want to thank we have people, local people, the clients have been excellent. They've supported us since we've opened, had tremendous support in that way. And one of the reasons my wife is here, because we could have lived anywhere. Although I was born in Southbridge, I had the opportunity to come back here, take over the family farm, and my wife is the one who's French. She said, "Oh, I'm tired of living in France." She says, "People around here are much nicer." She says, "I love Southbridge, so that's why we're here."
Well, tell me, your wife's part of chef too here?
Yeah,
Does she teach you the French cuisine or how to cook, or how did you learn about cooking in French style? I guess it might be described. Right?
First of all, I met my wife in France, and I was a director of a cultural center in the south of France for 5 years. And there I ran the restaurant, and I cooked lunch and dinner for 5 years, 6 days a week, for 20 to 80 people. So on a good night, we'll do 40 people here. So this is much easier from what I did for 5 years. At the same time, I was the director of this cultural center and ran everything in addition. Now, my wife worked with me. We weren't married at the time. We got married subsequently in France. I figured if anyone can work with me in a kitchen when it's hot and miserable, then she's a good person to marry. So we get along very well in that sense. So I didn't learn from her, but of course we learn things. Most of the recipes are from her family, but at the same time I do a lot of the I do the cassoulet, I do the confit, I do the traditional things, which I learned when I was there. I ate those type of dishes once a week on average for 5 years. So you learn how to do them from that. And I do a lot of reading and research.
And that's what it's all about. Always developing your skills and
Getting better.
Getting better every day.
Either you're getting better or you're getting worse.
There you go.
And what we do is we do take off per year about a month, and we go to France. We learn new recipes, we learn what's trending, things of that nature. And this year we've actually trained people in January so that when we're gone for 3 weeks, they'll be able to ably basically run the restaurant. They were actually under an apprenticeship for a good year. So they've done a fine job, and they'll be able to do it. So we have confidence.
Again, we're at the Metro Bistro here on Main Street, right in the plaza, the little white plaza with Subway in it. It's a great, adorable little restaurant. Take an opportunity, bring your date, bring your husband, your wife, your family. Come on down and enjoy it.
And I should
company.
mention too, we're BYOB, which Southbridge has, and people love that. And they come so when you come, bring your wine or anything else you like to drink. And that's perfectly fine, and people enjoy doing that too. So it adds another aspect to it.
I'll tell you, Jay, what I kind of liked about it too. I had an opportunity to chat with you. It was really a nice little conversation with you, and also your waitress and stuff. They're very, very friendly, and it makes you feel comfortable. You have that little home kind of quiet. I hate to say it, it's almost like at your dinner table at home. It's that nice kind of comfortable atmosphere, so you feel right at home.
Well, I try to maintain a certain French bad attitude, and it doesn't go over.
French bad attitude?
In the sense that no one believes me, so I fail at that because maybe it's something in the water of Southbridge. People just aren't that way. People are generally pretty nice. Also, what happens? People come here. It is intimate dining, meaning the tables aren't. You don't have a huge space between them, and people have made friends, met people here, and they've become lifelong friends, which is always fun to see. So it's okay.
You said you were in business about 5 years
Yes,
here.
5
Is that what
years.
it is?
We're on our 5th year.
Yeah. Has it changed much from the beginning, or is it pretty much kind of the same cuisine, everything from when you first started?
Our food evolves, and I think has gotten better. So, for example, being able to source local goat, that's rather unique. But again, that's something that came in. These are people that, the goat are actually people that come as customers, and then they say, I raise goat, would you be interested in purchasing it? And I do that. And because Massachusetts has a locavore rule, which is key, we're able to use local products. And that was put in by Governor Deval Patrick, along with Republicans in a bipartisan effort to in fact be able to do that. And that is the envy of most places. I have people who were at a conference recently in the old American Optical plant. They were there because they're pioneers in terms of this type of food. Maine hasn't done it, but 20 counties have basically revolted and passed their own locavore rules among themselves. So Massachusetts is in the forefront.
Let's talk a few minutes more about the food.
Sure,
right?
sure.
I know one thing you talked about is seafood, right? And I think you even told me you do lobster here, right?
Well, we do that, but we're not so much. I'll tell you why. A lot of places do lobster.
Yep.
We try to do things that no one else is doing.
So what kind of seafoods are we talking about?
One of the things that we do that's different is scallops. I'm able to order directly from the boat. There's on the internet, and then they're actually delivered here when I order them. Right. So they're absolutely fresh. And what we do is, rather than what people do traditionally in New England with scallops, they fry them or they bake them to death. Now the latest thing is searing them, so you have them cooked to death on the outside and raw on the inside.
Yeah.
Now what the French do though is they poach them. So they're cooked all the way through, but they're not well done. So they have a texture and a flavor of being cooked, not raw, but not cooked to death. So that's a little different. The other thing too is we do all our fish, we get fresh. We don't use anything frozen, and we do it in parchment also, which is unique. So it's basically baked in its own juices in the oven.
One of the things I find, I'm not French. I've never, truthfully, as I said to you,
Yes,
this is the first time I had French here at your restaurant. If I'm somebody who's not French and I want to come try it out, what kind of food, what would you recommend? I mean, what is something that people, the first time they come, they want to try something they're, at least know a little bit about. What would be your recommended meal for the first kind of time to explore your restaurant?
Usually, I would say, what many people do is they know beef. And we have a free-range beef fillet that we serve. People love that, and I can't tell you the number of compliments that we get for that. That's pretty easy to do. Also, what we do is ragouts, which are similar to stews, but they're not the Anglo-American stew with potatoes and vegetables. They're made just with onions. Sometimes it might be carrot. Instead, we use chestnuts. And that again, it's been cooked for half a day, usually in either white or red wine. so it has a different flavor. And I recut all the meat. So one of the things with stews that everyone hated, I always hated as a child, you'd get that piece of gristle or a hunk of fat.
Yep.
No, that's the French. All that is cut out and trimmed out completely, and I recut all the meat by hand. It takes some time, but it's well worth it. So that's a simple thing.
Simple, easy.
The other thing that people like to do, if you like salmon, our salmon has never been frozen. We get it from a distributor in Webster, and they go to the market every single day in Boston, and they deliver it fresh.
Oh, that's great.
And people love that.
Oh, people love salmon. I mean,
But again, it's most of the salmon you get in restaurants has been frozen. Even if they get it fresh, they'll freeze it.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that. We never have that. And our salmon is never frozen, and it's semi-wild. It's not entirely wild, but it's semi-wild.
Wow.
So
tell me a little bit about one of the things people are always concerned about: pricing. Are you? Would you consider yourself average price, a little bit high? I mean, kind of give me a feel, or give the people a feel for what they would expect if they were coming in terms of pricing. You know,
our pricing is we're equivalent to, how can I say this? Let's say on the rating, we're $2 bills. $2 signs. $2 bill. $2 signs. So that it means it's not one, which is the cheapest, and that's more for dinner. For lunch, we do a prefix, and that's very reasonable. We compete with both McDonald's and Subway as far as pricing.
Oh, it's really that low?
Yeah, you can come in and have 2 or 3 courses for $8.
Wow, so it's a reasonable price restaurant for people. I got to tell you, that's a great news because the food is really good. So, for me, it was a little bit of a learning experience, and I really enjoyed it. I was like surprised how good I felt when I left, I really enjoyed just the lightness of it. It was really something.
One of our waitresses is a longtime veteran, and she complains that our prices are way too low. So
no, that's good for the customer. That's good for
you. And she was a customer for a year. She came once or twice a week.
Again, the Metro Bistro right here on Main Street. Jay's a great host. It's a great little restaurant. It really is in my mind, it's kind of a little hidden gem. You don't expect it to find it in a little plaza like this. But I want to encourage all of you to come down here and try this restaurant.
One of the things people note about us also, we do not serve butter with our bread. We serve very good bread. And the reason that Americans or English serve butter with it, besides the fact they produce a lot of dairy, is the fact that the butter hides bad bread. And that we don't do that. The French use the bread as almost another utensil. It's for the sauces.
Seems to me it's a healthy food. The food, at least the food I had, seemed to be very healthy.
Well, let's look.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't be wild guy right now. No, I know. It's a really healthy food. It's a great place to try out. So once again, I want to encourage you again. We're at the Metro Bistro. Metro Bistro, right here on Main Street in the Subway Plaza that's over here. Jay's a great host. Please come down and try it out. Spread the message to your friends. Bring some friends down. Enjoy your night out.
Thank you.
Have a glass of wine.
Thank you. Yes.
And by all means,
spend an evening.
Support Southbridge businesses. Right?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. It's a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys
I'm
busy here all the time.
I'm a big promoter of Southbridge.
It's a great town. It's a great town. Thank you.
Yes.